if you all know, but Kim's mom comes to service with her all the time, stays through both services, and supports her very young and beautiful singing daughter week after week after week. Happy Mother's Day. Welcome, welcome. We're so glad that you're here today. Our prayer is that you will experience the love of God in and among this community of faith. We believe that God works in mothering and nurturing ways. We're going to talk about that all throughout the service today. So our prayer is that you will feel loved and nurtured in this service and go forth and do the same for the world. I want to encourage everybody to take a moment to take their connection card, tear that off, turn that in. You know, we pray for all of your prayer concerns on a weekly basis, and I am a firm believer that God changes circumstances and lives through the power of prayer. It's not only me praying, but we have a prayer team, the staff prays. So this really is an amazing gift to all of us. So I want to encourage you, this is how we connect with you each and every week. A couple of things I'd like to highlight. First of all, if you don't have any place to be for lunch today, Lunch Bunch is meeting. They're going to the Mani Thai Cafe. Just head there, say, hey, are you from the garden? Sit down and eat lunch. It'll be great, I'm sure. So I wanted to share that with you. Also, Mexican Domino's Taco Night is Friday night. It's going to be a blast. We want you all to come. If you don't know what Mexican Domino's is, I'll tell you what, kids, come and you'll have a blast. I learned how to do it on, oh my goodness, excuse me. Are you serious? I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Carolyn, it's Bill.
Hey, Bill, how are you?
Kevin's given me a call, and I wanted to patch you in.
Okay.
Hey, Bill Brown.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Kevin Young. How you doing?
Fantastic.
Hey, are you going to join us next Saturday for breakfast with the G-Men over at Broad Oak United Methodist Church?
Well, I don't know. Janice makes me breakfast every Saturday, and, you know, I might have to get her permission first.
Permission? Really? Well, what does she fix you on Saturday mornings?
The most awesome Cheerios and orange juice.
Well, do you like pancakes, French toast, biscuits and gravy, egg casserole, hash browns?
That does sound kind of delicious.
You ought to come join us with some of your fellow men from the garden next Saturday.
So what do all the G-men do? Do they just meet and eat?
Well, eating's important to us guys, you know, but we're building friendships, discussing our faith, talking about the garden, how we can support its mission, looking at service opportunities, you know.
I could maybe use a little bit more of that in my life.
Well, most importantly, we're men connecting with and trying to support each other in our lives. You know, for many of us, it's hard to get to know and really connect with others at the garden because, you know, we really don't have space and opportunity here after the service. So will we see you next Saturday, 8 a.m. at Broad Ripple United Methodist Church?
Heck yes, count me in. I'll be there. I'd like to meet more men, and, you know, Janice makes a mean bowl of Cheerios, but a hearty breakfast like that makes me rock.
Great. Look forward to seeing you, introducing you to some new guys from the garden. And Bill, tell Janice you have a doctor's appointment.
Hey guys, thanks for patching me in.
Thanks,
Great,
Carolyn.
exciting. Give him a hand. That was really cute. That was really cute. Love it, love it. So go to G-Men on Saturday. Actually, you could just even stay overnight. Just come and eat tacos, and then you can sleep in a pew and just stay till the next morning, so that's fine. All right, so today is Mother's Day. In the United States, we call this Mother's Day. In England, they call this Mothering Day. So let's all pretend like we're British for a moment here and turn to the person next to you and say, Happy Mothering Day. Come on, give it a try. Happy Mothering Day. Lovely, lovely, lovely. You know what? I have to admit, I think the Brits get this right. First of all, the holiday is in March. Not much going on in March. You know, May's getting crazy with graduation and everything. They do this in March. They have Mothering Sunday in March. And I like that. Another reason why I like that is mothering is a verb, right? It's not a role. It's a verb. It's something you do. In fact, if you look at the dictionary, mothering is the action meaning to nurture and care for with love and compassion. So to nurture with compassion. Nurture with compassion. Now, another interesting thing I'd like to highlight here as well is, do you know in the Bible, in the first book of the Bible called Genesis, there are actually 2 creation stories. And I'm going to highlight the one that I think is most important today. The first creation story talks about us being created in the image of them. doesn't say anything about God being male or having a long beard or anything like that. No, it talks about them. Some scholars believe that this is God recognizing both that we both have these qualities, male, female qualities. Some say it's about the Trinity. But note, the very first creation story is about us being created in God's image, and it's not a man. It's all of the energy, the spirit energy, the male energy, the female energy, and it's all about us being created to nurture and care for. Let's take a look. This is the Voice translation of the Bible. This is from Genesis. Now let us conceive a new creation, humanity, made in our, with a capital O, image, fashioned according to our likeness. And let us grant them authority over all the earth, the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, the domesticated animals and the small creeping creatures on the earth. It is important for us to notice that we were created to nurture and care for, which is sometimes a role we put just females in. It's all of us. As a progressive United Methodist Church, I want to highlight that it's not about the role, it's about the action. I want to highlight that we are all called to mothering on this Mother's Day. Not only that, but also in the Old Testament, you see over and over again that God is a compassionate God, and that's where it moves into the role. So if we're nurturing and caring for creation and caring for one another, we also need to be compassionate. And here's what it says about being compassionate. As a mother comforts her child, so will I comfort you, God says. As a mother comforts her child, so will I comfort you. So today, as we head into this Mother's Day celebration, I'm going to say it's about all of us, not just the ladies who have given us birth. So in my role as a mothering person, I want to also start this service with this shout out. We recognize that this is a lovely day for a lot of people because a lot of us have been blessed with some amazing mothers. But we also want to recognize that this is a day where we need to mother or provide mothering for those women who long to have children and never have been able to, for those women who have had children and have had to give those children up either by circumstance or by choice. We remember all women today who long to be mothers in some way, and somehow their circumstances have not led them to that. We remember on this day all of those who didn't have the great mothers that a lot of us had, those who never had a mother, or those whose mothers were not loving and caring or present. So in the midst of this day, let us be mindful that there are those people who have had these kind of experiences, and God will use the likes of you and me to bring a mothering love into this world. There's this cool band called Band Perry. Its siblings, Neil and Kimberly, are in the band together. And Neil wrote on his phone one time, if the world had a mom like mine, and I guess it sat on his phone for a really long time. Then he shared it with his sister, and they shared it with siblings, and together they sat down and thought, well, what would the world be like if it was mothered by my mom, Marie? There are a number of mothers in the Bible. And what's interesting to me is that this past week, Matt is so good about sending me different images of mothers. And so he sent some images of mothers from the Bible. And I have to tell you, as I looked at them, I thought, aren't these women beautiful? Aren't they really something else? Dressed beautifully, looking amazing. Well, I looked at those images, and then I went back and read their stories. And I have to tell you, the pictures you're going to see up here are not the women of these stories. The women of these stories are more like Roseanne, are more like, Rosie the Riveter. These are stories of strong, amazing women, not women with perfect pale skin. I mean, I just love what they do to Mary, right? That little brownish hair and those beautiful blue eyes. These are some hardy women. Heck, some of them might have even looked like me. Hardy, good women. So I'm going to talk about a few of them. The first one we're going to talk about is Hannah. Hannah is in the Old Testament, found in Samuel. And Hannah was one of two wives of Elkanah, and she could not bear children. Now let me tell you, in that society, when you could not bear children, you had little or really no value at all. Throughout 1st and 2nd Samuel, what I appreciate is we are witness to her pain and her suffering in not being able to have a child. One day, in her despair and in her prayer, she goes to the temple and she prays to God and she says, God, if you bless me with a son, I will dedicate that child to you. I will dedicate that child to you. Well, sure enough, God blesses her with a son. She names him Samuel. She raises, nurses, and raises him until the appropriate age and delivers him back to the temple. Now, I don't know about you, but I think I might backpedal a little bit after that desperation. I might say, you know, God, that temple is filled with priests, but I think I've got this. I think I can do this. But she didn't. She turned Samuel over to the temple. And it is said that Samuel was the one who kind of pulled order into the world and is the father or the prophet of wisdom. Samuel brings wisdom into the culture. It goes from this hierarchical system where there are winners and losers to wisdom. He brings about wisdom. Now, the other interesting part of Hannah's story is she not only had Samuel, she went on to have 5 more children, and God blessed her profoundly. Next person I'd like to talk about is Elizabeth. Elizabeth and her husband Zachariah, according to the Gospel of Luke, were advanced in their years and childless. She was probably 30 or something. No, I don't know. I have no idea. In any case, God blesses her with a child who she would name John. And John was that kid at school that nobody knew quite what to do with, you know. John was the kid that dressed funny. His dress in particular was camel hair, and he really had a thing for locusts and honey. So something tells me, you know, he was that kid. And she loved him anyway. She loved him and encouraged him in such a way that he was able to make way for Jesus. Of course, the other mother I want to talk about is the mother Mary. Mary, the mother of Jesus. And let's talk particularly about her situation. She was very young and pregnant and not married. In that culture, of course, she could have been stoned. But she wasn't. And she went on to sing a song, to surrender to God's will, and to mother this child. And what I love about Mary's story is Mary doesn't leave Jesus' side. She's a good Jewish mother. She doesn't leave his side. She is present with him even when he says, you're not my mother, you're not my family. She doesn't leave him. She loves him. Perhaps my favorite Mary story is not when she is at the foot of the cross, when Jesus is being crucified. My favorite Mary story is at the wedding of Cana. I want to check your biblical knowledge here. The wedding of Cana is Jesus' very first miracle, that miracle where he turns water into... Who says the garden doesn't know their Bible? That's absolutely right! He turned water into wine, and not just any wine. It was supposedly the very best wine of the night. Now, if you read that story closely, you will see Jesus did not do this of his own accord. This is the first really true nagging Jewish mother story. Because Mary says, come on, we're running out of wine here. Get this party going again, Jesus. And he does. He turns water into wine, and she is by far the best Jewish mother. So, whoop, whoop, lift it up for Mary. That's why we have so much fun at weddings. Last person I want to talk about is a woman named Lydia. Lydia is often called the mother of the church. And what's so amazing about that is we don't know, but she probably was not married and she probably did not have children. Lydia was a businesswoman of her day. So something tells me when I picture her, it's not like this. I picture her as like Oprah, you know, there's nothing I can't do. There's nothing, you know, that's me. That's what I see Lydia as. She had a thirst for knowledge, spiritual experience, and she was very successful. Not only that, but she was able to bring people together. She lived in a Macedonian colony, and in that colony there was lots of different cultures, lots of different people and different languages, and she had the ability to bring a lot of different people together. Well, she encountered Paul, and Paul shared the good news with her, and she was transformed and changed by that good news. So she chose to be baptized. She chose to step into her faith, and it changed her life forever. Not only hers, but everyone who was around her in her household, they were transformed as well, and it became a Christian household. Not only that, but it was a household, probably a very, very nice house, that she ended up opening to any missionary that would come that way. I love that. I love that. We probably would not be here today if it were not for the Oprah of her day. We probably would not be here today if it were not for the savvy, of a single businesswoman in a culture that probably wasn't all that accepting of women. What's interesting to me is that I believe she was the mothering energy of the church, and she used her business savvy and know-how to ultimately transform this world. So today, I want us to be mindful of what real moms are made up of. They're people who perhaps look very different than the models that are given to us. They're people with a gift for mothering. Sometimes they're not even mothers. They're sometimes business people or older people, and they're often men. What makes a difference is they are real.
Everybody has ideas about what it means to be a good mom, and most people feel like they have a license to tell you what they think it means to be a good mom.
Oh my God. I'm a first-time mom, and I'm just figuring it out as I go.
Oftentimes, a grandma, uncles, great-grandmas, they want you to do it their way. But I have to be that woman that stands her ground.
Can I have your bucket so I can put some grain?
What we do here is unconventional because he's at the barn with us all the time.
Hi, guys.
I would say that he has such a different set of opportunities, and we're showing him something unique.
Everybody out.
We are both his biological parents. You get people that are like, what do you mean you're the mom? We're like, yep, we're both gonna be moms.
I live to be the best version of myself that I can be, and part of that is being her mom.
Who's that? Dada.
But I live to dance. I can do my art and not be any less of a mom.
I'm raising him on my own. I'm happy where I am. And I get to make my parenting decisions on my own.
이거 줘? 이거 달라고?
There's so many ways to be a mom. I don't think I could be the mom that I want to be without climbing in my life. It keeps me who I am and allows me to be a really good mom to Anna.
There's no one right way to do it all.
You are the only expert in your kid.
Believe in yourself. Believe in your ability as a woman. What you can do is what you can do.
Do what fits your family
You want to get the cows up?
and trust yourself.
So my prayer for all of us today is not only that we'll have an opportunity to reflect on our own mothers, but to be mindful that we're all called to mothering. Mothering is not based on a gender or a role. It's based on our ability to nurture with love and compassion. One of the ways that you could do that in this next week is to participate in this Ending Hunger drive that we're sharing in as we did last year. This is a sample letter that could be sent on to our representatives because we need to care for the children who are hungry in our world. And the only way that we can do that is through talking to our government. And, well, one of the ways we can do that is through talking to our government. So I want to encourage all of you, those letters are on your table there. So if you're not a mother, you can nurture that way right now, today, and then bring them back next week, and we'll share in a special time of asking for God's blessing upon those letters. Also, as you honor your mother, that's amazing. But I also want to encourage you, think about someone who has nurtured and mothered you throughout life. It's interesting to me, in both of these services today, I did not plan this, there are people who have mothered me along the journey. I want to give a shout out to the Orzeskis, as well as to the Browns up there, because these folks were part of my life before I was a minister. They entrusted their children to me. Where I never probably would have done that. They supported me as I went through school to become a minister. And they always, always encouraged me. They encouraged me to love their kids, to love each other. And I want to thank you guys for all your nurturing and loving care to the like of me throughout this journey. And I'll never forget it, ever. It's in part helped to make me who I am today. And for that, I'm thankful. You know, your life is just like that. You're going to encounter somebody today who has mothered you in one way or another. I want you to encourage you to not just think about it, to say something about it, to send an email, to let somebody know how they have made a difference in your life, how they have mothered and cared for you. This is the 20th anniversary of my ordination, which means it's been 20 years that I've been doing this story. And every year I try not to do this story, and there's a revolt. And so we're going to do it until you say, for the love of Pete, do not do that story again. So I'm going to close today with a story called Love You Forever by a guy named Robert Munch, and it goes like this. A mother rocks her brand new baby boy gently back and forth and back and forth, and as she does, she sings, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. Well, that baby boy, he grows and he grows and he grows until he is 2 years old. And oh my goodness, he gets into everything. He takes the books off the shelf. He pulls the food out of the refrigerator. He even took his mother's watch and flushed it down the toilet. There are days that his mother would say, this kid is driving me crazy. But at night, when that 2-year-old was asleep, his mom would go to his room, open the door, crawl across the floor, up over the side of the bed. And if that 2-year-old was really asleep, she'd lift him up into her arms, and she gently rocked him back and forth and back and forth. And as she did, she sang, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. Well, that boy, he grew and he grew and he grew, and he had a birthday, and he became 6 years old, and he had a little brother too. And his name was Ben. And Ben, though a very good boy, at times challenged his mother a little bit. He didn't really like to take baths. He didn't like to go to bed when his mom suggested he should go to bed. And sometimes he yelled when his grandmother was around. There are days that his mother would say, I'm going to sell this kid to the zoo. But do you know what? At night, when Ben is asleep, even though he has a little brother, his mother goes to his room, opens the door, crawls across the floor, looks up over the side of the bed, and if Ben is really sleeping, she lifts him up into her arms, and she gently rocks him back and forth and back and forth. And as she does, she sings, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. Well, that boy, he grows and he grows and he grows until he's a teenager, and oh my goodness, he has very strange friends. He listens to strange music, wears strange clothes, grows his hair long, and there are days that his mother says, I feel like I live in a zoo. But at night, when that teenager is asleep, his mother goes to his room, opens the door, crawls across the floor, looks up over the side of the bed, and yes, if that boy is sleeping, she lifts him up into her arms and she gently rocks him back and forth and back and forth. And as she does, she sings, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. Well, that boy, he grows and he grows and he grows, and no, he doesn't choose IU or Purdue. He goes to Butler. And then after he graduates from Butler, he gets a home very near his mother's house. Sometimes, on the darkest of nights, right there in Meridian Kessler, his mother gets in her car, drives across town, goes to his house, takes a ladder, puts it up to his window, opens the window, crawls across the floor, looks up over the side of the bed, and if that grown man is really asleep, yes, she does, she lifts him up into her arms, and she gently rocks him back and forth and back and forth, and as she does, she sings, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. Well, that mother, she grows older and older and older. And one day she calls her son and she says, you need to come and see me because I am very sick and I am very old. So the boy goes to her house, and when she sees him, she's so very excited. She begins to sing, I'll, but she can't sing because she's too sick and she's too old. She can't remember the words. So do you know what that grown boy does? He goes to his mother. He lifts her up into his arms and he gently rocks her back and forth and back and forth. And as he does, he sings, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my mommy you'll be. That night, when that grown man arrives home, he stands at the top of the stairs for a very long time. And then he opens the door to his baby girl's room, goes to her crib, lifts her up into his arms, gently rocks her back and forth and back and forth. And as he sings, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. Will you pray with me? God, what a wonderful reminder indeed that you have called us all to love and to nurture all of your babies, to let them know that they are loved. Give us the courage to be your mothers in this world, to give thanks for those who have set forth an example of love and care. And let us do the same, loving each other forever and ever. Amen. Remember, folks, we can all provide nurture, love, and care and mothering. Go forth now. Happy Mother's Day, and may the love of God be yours today, tomorrow, and forever. Remember, you are loved, and you'll always be God's baby. Amen.